impact point here, right? We're talking about 855 days to break even, not to make money. I'm not talking about getting excited and making a profit, to break even, to get back to where they started. Now, here's the real question. How many people do you think held that drawdown? Because I could tell you most people probably sold at a loss, right? Because the game, if you don't understand how to play it, will trap you. And that is kind of what I wanted to show everyone today, and really put emphasis on understanding that if you know where the power law bottom is and the algorithm can buy in that zone, I don't think you can do much better than that. You're naturally trading Bitcoin's natural cyclical behavior, and you're respecting and supporting its baseline price, right? Which allows you to have success long term. So that's what I wanted to show everyone today. Thanks, Giovanni.
Fantastic presentation. Costa, you're back from
we're back, and we're off on Monday actually to Singapore to Token 2049. So if anyone's out there who wants to come say hi, Marcus and I are going to be manning the stall in Singapore. Come say hi to us.
Fantastic.
Should be fun. Yeah,
be glad to hear from you.
Just to add to what we've been saying is that this opportunity is a really good. Have we looked at the trades for today? I can quickly have a look at that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And again, for anybody that is interested in joining in and using the system, we have an address here, right? You can go to this website. There is a webinar where we go more into details of how it works and what is behind it. You can also DM me on X, and I can give you more details and talk to me. But it's really an amazing opportunity that I think it should be almost mandatory for every Bitcoiner to have some way. I'm not saying this system, but any way to do HODL++, because it's really difficult for anybody that, particularly if you're a young person, to get to a place where just holding Bitcoin will change your life, right? Unless you are a top-notch job and you don't have a family, you can save, etc. But if you have even a small yield on Bitcoin and you're doing it in a clever way, you can multiply your gains by big factors, So it's something that people should really start to consider and think about very seriously. Anyway, Costa, go ahead.
Yeah, if you just bring up the screen, we'll just have a look at the trades today. I think they're good to look at. So we do have.
I don't see your screen.
It's sharing. I think you got to.
Let me do something. Maybe because we have up to 10 guests. Okay, you should be able to. This was mine. Show me. I don't see yours.
Yeah, it's coming now. Okay, sorry.
Okay, now it is. Yep.
Yeah, so the market's fractal. We always say that this is a lower time frame. This is also an update to the settings that we've rolled out on. Actually, I'm going to put this on the 10-minute because we're running now on the 10-minute, right, Sebastian? Yeah.
For the higher frequency style, yes.
So you can just see here how beautifully this is. My computer's really slow, my internet. But you can see the entries here down at 109, 208. Another one yesterday at about 112. Another one before that, 115. But just see how aggressively this has brought down the weighted average price. So we entered here at around 117. We're currently down 112 with a take profit at 114. So again, just illustrating the point of how when the market gives us these corrections, these pullbacks, we're able to DCA and take profits by walking the price down. So extremely powerful strategy. And especially if you're holding Bitcoin, it's a way to be you're almost hedging your Bitcoin position, right? Because your Bitcoin's going down in value, but your trading profits are going up. So, this price action is good. We're all looking forward to breaking through into all-time highs, but these kind of big drops do provide us with a lot of opportunities. So, I thought just good to look at those prices.
It is, Costa, kind of a thing where once you get comfortable, and it is a mindset shift, because once you get comfortable with it, actually you kind of want, now we all want a bull run, but when you DCA, you want price to fall as well. So the fear kind of starts to dissipate, doesn't it? Once you get used to this style of trading when the price falls.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually want to put it back on the 15 because it gives me just a bit more latitude to see what's going on. But Giovanni was saying it's always exciting when you're running this algo. Just have a look at here, right? So we've gone from 117 down to 108. We've taken profit. The market's kind of chopped, and we've done all these entries and exits. And now we're back here doing a nice big DCA. So this is really exciting price action, and it's just sitting between that 120 to 108 range. You can see how many entries and exits have happened. Really,
many people always tell me, the biggest value that they get from the power law is that their conviction is strengthened, and also, I have almost every day people send me some messages, say, listen, thank God for the power law, because it makes me more calm, it makes me more relaxed about, I know that this is a long-term trajectory. If people start to use this is in addition to that, because that happened even to me, because even if I am around since now almost 12 years, in 13 years in the Bitcoin world, it's just human nature, right? The price corrects, it goes down, you feel a little bit scared, right? What if it goes to zero, right? And it is never going to happen. But at the same time, you like when the price goes up. Well, I still like when the price goes up, but now I'm much more neutral, because in particular, in fact, I like it when it goes up after it goes down, because I know that I accumulated all these extra Bitcoin, cheap Bitcoin, and then when it goes up, I'm taking advantage of that. In particular, if this going up and down is going to be basically the future of Bitcoin, we are going to oscillate around the power law. Every time it goes down, you're collecting, you're basically Marcus is saying, you're getting the groceries, you're getting the
snacks ready for the road trip.
The snacks, you're getting the gas for the car. This is what you're doing, and I'm happy about that. I say, okay, great, look at this, and I hear that ringing bell, because I'm working on the computer, my trading view is on, and when there is an alarm, every time he buys, it rings the bell. Sometimes it happens when I'm sleeping, of course, but and it doesn't matter if it is a bell associated with selling and I made more Bitcoin, or with buying, because the price corrected, we are buying cheap. It's incredible. I don't know how else to say this. So I really invite you to explore this with us, to see what it's about, and it's beyond us. We are not trying to do a sell pitch, even if we are a company and we are trying to do a business, and it's a legit business. It's really a passion. I'm very passionate about this approach. I really believe that this is where Bitcoiners need to start to shift their focus and think in a different way about what it means to be a Bitcoiner.
Absolutely.
100%. Well said.
Some of these comments are really good that are coming through.
Let's look at them. So there is something about October. What do you guys think about that?
Yes, there's a seasonality to it, of course. There's a seasonality because there's a seasonality to liquidity, monetary cycles, economic cycles. So yeah, there is some seasonality, and it also aligns with the power law. There's a not only a price level, but there's a time level as well. There's a time for things to take place and play out. So yeah.
In general, the end of the year is pretty bullish. Again, we don't know. We are in new territory, but there are some reasons why the market can be bullish. There are a lot of companies that close their books at the end of the year, so if they do something, they are trying to do it at the end of the year. There are some pickup of activities, some people in particular in Europe, they take long vacation during the summer, so now they are back. And so, there is historically, there is some uptake in the market at the end of the year. Now, we don't know if that means a super bull action from Bitcoin to actually maybe catch up. But I like the liquidity chart that Marcos showed, and that 125 at a minimum seems reachable. We should go back to that, and maybe even higher. Like beating basically the all-time high. All right. Okay. So somebody's telling us from Florida. See,
All right, Lakeland in the house. All right, nice.
Okay, here. What do you say?
Okay, so where do we think it goes after the 121 liquidity is taken? Well, that puts us in the next level. So yeah, that brings in the 125, 130, 140. All that starts to come in play. But we have to have a way to get there. So yeah, that opens the door for that higher prices. Now that being said, it doesn't mean we're going to go straight there, but we're heading that direction. Yes, probably around November, December. Yeah.
And our friend Dario Vullo.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. The D.
Dario is actually using the bot. He's doing very, very well with the bot.
Yeah.
And the topping, how this year, you guys can tell. In the past, we say 200K, and that 200K was not an opinion, right? It's not about opinion, it's all about math. It was based on this decay of the peaks that seem to have a very precise pattern. And we say, look, if this pattern continues, this is where we are going. And actually, many people told me when I did that, it was too conservative, right? Everybody was talking about 400, a million, and they meant this year, not, now they say this cycle, which cycle you're talking about. They meant this at the end of the year when usually the cycle ended. But now, even that seems optimistic, right? I would not be surprised if we go to 135, 140. Even just to stay on top of the power law, by the end of the year, we should be around 130, something like that. Otherwise, we will be below the power law. So I think we are simply, even at a minimum, we are simply oscillating around the power law. So we should do at least 130.
Yes. Concur.
What about the business cycle? Yeah, I look at PMI, for example, and Bitcoin strongly correlates with PMI. And now PMI is pretty flat, and usually it does peak at the end of the year. So we don't know. We are kind of in a new territory where, usually these cycles, you already see hints that we are going up, right? It doesn't wait until November and then it jumps all of a sudden. You start to see an uptick of a cycle. The bull started, I say actually November, it usually lasted 1 year. It took 1 year to bring us all on the top. It's possible that some people talking about extending it to January, February. Everything is possible, but it's unusual. We don't do that. So we will have to see. And you guys can answer that too.
I can answer this one. So if you were, I'm not sure if you just joined, if you were watching the presentation I did earlier, the purpose of that was to show that the power of going long at the right time on Bitcoin, regardless of whether you're at the top of the market. So it's always better to trade long. Historically, especially, I can tell you, being a developer, the back testing and live testing we've done is historically it's not a good idea to go short on Bitcoin unless you have a really clear understanding of leverage and margin efficiency. So typically, especially if you're new into this space, run it long because it's so forgiving and it works.
Very good. Love you guys. Yeah, so again, Dario, I look at ISM and PMI, they are very similar. And it's a complicated thing. I need to go back. This is the comment that he was making. I need to go back and do some more sophisticated study looking at granular causality, but there are also other measures, like one of these measures that almost nobody uses, it is basically how coupled cycles are, because Bitcoin has its own cycles. And it's a question, are we coupled with external cycles, right? Are we following them closely? And that is a question that needs to be answered. Like, for example, I looked in the past, this cycle that many people mentioned that as a 5 years cycle duration, and it was supposed actually to peak in November because it was not completely aligned with Bitcoin. And, evidently it's not happening, but it's possible there are other cycles that we can look at and see how they correlate with Bitcoin, etc. Now, nothing is happening, right? Much. So we need to go deeper and see if there are other cycles that Bitcoin follows beside the 4-year regular cycle that we followed in the past. This is for you, Marcus.
Okay. All right, Marcus, why don't you use your X account more actively?
He's too busy. We're giving him too much work. That's why.
I've been telling him that. I've been telling him.
That would be wonderful if you update your liquidation analysis. Yes, I'm going to do it. We've been in Dubai for 3 weeks. I almost turned into one of those Arab sheiks. I had the full, dress, and I just been out of touch. But yeah, now that we're back from there and I'm kind of getting back in the sync and everything, yes, I'm definitely going to keep doing it. I'm glad you reminded me. I'll never hear the end of it because Costa's been telling me that. So yes, I'm with you. I'm gonna do it. Thank you.
Very good.
Definitely.
Sorry, guys, we're flying him all over the world at the moment, so he's.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got to do it. I'm gonna update it. Yep, definitely. Thanks.
Yeah. And again, one more time, the ACM has its own behavior. We will look at how strongly correlates with Bitcoin. It's not 1-to-1, It was clear that Bitcoin follows its own 4-year cycles, and it had some level of correlation with other cycles, but it's possible that drive is over. I don't think it was ever associated with a scarcity of coins, due to the halving. It was more like some kind of a psychological effect associated with halving, but then it's kind of dissipated, and so it's possible that Bitcoin is going to follow more traditional cycles. So we need the data, because even if ICM does that, we don't know if Bitcoin follows, right? We will need the evidence for that, and we don't have it yet. So that is how my position about that is. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to wishful thinking. I want to see the data. Once we have the data and the data say, yes, now we are locked to these new cycles, then we can use that information. But until we have the data, we should not, we can look at it, but we should not assume that it does happen, okay? Because then we do what everybody else does, that is just making up stuff, instead of basing everything on data. And the entire team here, it's all about being driven by data, that is what we do. Okay, guys, I think this made a very nice show. We were just below 1 hour, and I think this is good. We kept it compact. maybe one more question. We can take this last question. Is it possible to adapt the Monte Carlo simulation so the price prediction, the probability are not symmetrical? Yeah, this is so one of the application of a new indicator is actually this Monte Carlo simulation I'm doing, and I did it on purpose to do it symmetrical because that is kind of less biased. But yeah, but, I'm going to add it as an option where we can look at the latest data and see if there is a prevalence up or down. And instead of using entire history of Bitcoin, we can use the most recent mu and sigma, and then it will be more. You will start to see that it has a tendency to go up instead of down, or vice versa. It depends on the more recent history. Okay, people are coming in with more questions. If there is, we can, we can keep it maybe within 1 hour, so we can keep going for another few minutes. If it doesn't happen above, then don't we see deep drawdown next year? Okay, right. It's kind of an assumption that makes sense. I think a lot of the drawdowns that we saw were overreaction. After all, the reason why we had a power law in the first place, right, even if we had these big bubbles, is because we went up as much as we went down. And so for some reason, right, Bitcoin likes to follow the power law. So whenever it abandoned it, it needed to compensate by going down. Now, if we follow the power law, maybe there is no reason to compensate, right? So it's again, we don't have data for that. We have to see it, but this one is a reasonable assumption. We can make it almost like a scientific hypothesis. This is the hypothesis. We need the data to confirm the hypothesis or not, but it's a reasonable one. And to be honest, look, I will not mind for us to follow the power law closely for the next 10 years. People thought that the bull runs were exciting. There were opportunities for few people because they knew when the bull run happened, or maybe they had some evidence for it. Maybe they open very leveraged position. Maybe they play with that. One of the things that I think a lot of people are looked into was the shit coins, right? They were buying shit coins because the shit coins used to go faster than Bitcoin during a bull run. So it was a time for speculation, and maybe they couldn't wait the 10 years that it takes to have a noticeable increase in your Bitcoin value, and they wanted to do that 100 per in 1 year, And so, but look, it's almost like lottery because few people won. I bought some shit coin for a few $1,000s, and they make $500,000. Okay, but it's almost like I won the lottery. It was nothing that I attribute to my ability or anything like that. Like one person wins and 100 lose. So it was always a lottery. And so if we have something that has both the long trajectory and is predictable, and then we have also oscillations around it and enough volatility, then it's great. It's perfect. In particular for this particular approach that we have, it's just ideal for that. So I will not mind it at all. What do you guys think?
Yeah, look, I'm in agreement. I think that it's just another reason why this tool is so powerful. I think we need to start getting creative with what we can do with this asset, and that's what we're doing here. Yeah.
Sebastian, what do you think? What do you think about this? Will you be okay?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as we have somewhat continued volatility, then what we do is going to churn over and over again, regardless of what the market does. But, definitely it'll be hard to see a huge, gigantic correction without, a little bit more upwards pressure. I find that hard to believe, but also, sometimes Bitcoin does things we don't expect. But I think the point is what I shared earlier with I presented, that if we do have huge corrections, it doesn't really matter. You just have to understand how to manage the risk, and then everything takes care of itself.
Exactly.
I think it's far more likely that we go to 160 and back to 70 than we go from 109 to 40. I don't see us going to 40. That's just not really going to happen now. If there's not going to be a cycle, if we're not going to have a bubble, I don't think we're going to have a massive drawdown. Could we go to levels that we saw earlier in the year with the tariff news? Maybe. I think that bounced off 72, but I don't think it's going back to power law support at this level, because that's where we've got our eyes always, the power law support, right? And we're protected down to those levels. But I do think it's far more likely we touch the power law support again in the future. And if that comes with a bubble, it comes with a bubble. If it doesn't, I think we might follow what you said, Giovanni, the power law up. Yeah, we need a bit of a blow off top to get that crash back down, I think. Yeah. But the window is closing.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I think we covered a lot of interesting topics. We will do this again next week.
100%.
Yeah.
We might be in Singapore on
Okay.
the flight. Maybe Sebastian and yourself will be able to do it, and then we're back to.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right. Okay, guys. Bye, everybody. Thank you for